shapes and meaning. Okay, let's get started. Shapes can represent the attitude and personality of your character. Let's take the basic shapes: triangle, circle, and square. The triangle, or pointy features, is used for edgy, even evil characters. Characters who misbehave, have evil thoughts, or just don't mind breaking the rules. They don't have to be evil, but they do tend to get what they want without minding the consequences. They are usually troublemakers, reckless. The circle, or circular features. This means friendly, flexible, kind, characters who are easygoing, who don't really like to create conflict, and if they do, it was not their intention. They even apologize a lot when they accidentally offend someone. Think of Goofy from Disney. The square, or sharp features. Strict, stubborn, not very adaptable or flexible. These characters can be very moody, easy to get angry. Think of Anger from Inside Out, or Carl from Up. They get angry when things don't go out the way they expected. They want their expectations fulfilled every time, and they want everyone to obey their own personal rules. Okay, now from these shapes, you can create combinations to represent the personality you have built. Whatever you choose, try to keep some consistency between your character and the shapes you use. The best way to understand consistency is with some examples. Let's take the villain from the earlier example. That villain could work with sharp and pointy features, the triangle, but probably not round parts, or at least avoiding roundness as much as possible, because that could imply that the character is friendly and kind. Look for yourself. This is the villain with round features. The circle, remember, means friendly, kind, not a threat. You see, even though he has an angry expression, he's still kind of cute. He can be at most an angry character, but not a real threat. He's more like the character Grumpy from Snow White. He is angry, but he's not really mean. He's just grumpy at most. So for a villain, this drawing is not consistent with his personality, and so this is the wrong design for this character. This same villain would work a lot better if it had squared and pointy features, the triangle. This guy is clearly a threat, you see? Willing to break some rules and even break some bones if you let him. You can clearly see that in the design, the triangle, the pointy features. And you know he's the kind of guy who likes to be always right because of the squared features, the stubbornness. Okay, now that we understand a bit about shapes, let's move on to the next lesson in which we will dive into the different body types you can use for your characters. Body types. Okay, body types can be determined by 4 easily recognizable elements: age, height, weight, and strength. For the age, you just need to play a bit with the proportions of the body, and the proportion is measured with the number of heads it takes to build a body. For example, a kid usually measures 2.5 heads. A cartoon female character usually measures about 4 heads. A cartoon male character measures 5 heads. A tall and skinny character could measure 6 heads. A big and strong cartoony character could measure 8 heads. Note, if you want to keep real proportions like in anime, then you need to go for 7.5 or 8 heads for the measures of your characters. Next element, the height. These are different than the proportions. The proportions are just a way to tell the age of the character, but has nothing to do with the character's height. The height is determined by the vertical size of the character in comparison with other characters. For example, this is a giant troll baby beside a very confused warrior. You can clearly see that the giant baby is very big, and we know that the troll is taller because he's bigger than the warrior. Easy to see. But the subtlety is that we also know he is a baby. Why? Because of the proportions. He measures 3 heads, and the hero measures about 5 heads. So you see, the height and age are determined by different qualities. The age is determined by proportions, and the height is determined by the vertical size. Nice. Now the weight. The third element. This one is simple. You just decide how fat or skinny is your character. This is the horizontal size of your character. If you want your character to be fat, make him larger. If you want him to be more skinny, you just make him thinner. But be careful, very fat characters need a lot of follow-through, one of the 12 principles of animation when they are animated. Every move they make needs a bouncy feeling after the action, the follow-through. So if you are a beginner and want to follow the 12 principles, try to avoid fat characters. Now, the strength. The strength is determined by the relation between the size of the chest and the size of the stomach or waist. A strong character has a big chest, and a weak character has a small chest, and maybe some gut going on. Okay, so now that we have made all these decisions, we can actually design a character. Are you ready? Let's move on to the next lesson, in which we will cover a little tutorial of how I designed the character Brad for this course. See you there. Character design in action. Okay, so far we covered character psychology, shapes, and body types. I will apply all of that in my character, Brad. Once I decided that my character was going to be a narcissist who craves attention and wants to show his muscles on every opportunity he has, then I can start sketching some ideas. So to design Brad, I will first need to determine his line of action. I suppose many of you know what the line of action is, but I don't want to risk to leave anyone in the dark, so I will explain it very quick. The goal of the line of action is to try to design your characters with an interesting pose that expresses some body language. At the Disney studio, Walt used to ask this question to his staff. Why would someone look at that character? That was when the character showed no personality, and that is reflected in your character's pose. This is known as the line of action. Now, having that in mind, let's design a character in 5 steps. Number 1, sketch a pose with an interesting line of action. Step 2, add volume. Then step 3, add details and form the character. Step 4, refine the lines. This step is called inking if you are on paper. Okay, let's get started. Let's sketch out a pose for Brad. I'm running this in fast forward. When you're sketching, mind the consistency of your character. For Brad, I decided a squared head to make him stubborn when he wants to have things his way, and round features for his body so he could look friendly and charismatic. Step 2, give it volume using 3D shapes. With the posing in place, I just add some 3D shapes to help me get the volume of this character. I try to imagine him as a real being, someone in the real world. Then, step 3, add details and form. Now, I correct him, add some clothes and the face, and now the sketch is almost done. Once I have that, I move on to refining the lines. Step 4. This simply means deciding for a clean line on every detail in this character. This helps to have the character presentable and more easy to understand at first sight. There! We now have an appealing character, someone with personality. A narcissistic proud character. Okay, this covers all the theory for this course. Hopefully, all this knowledge is helping you to design memorable characters that people will talk about. If you like the course so far, I invite you to take less than 1 minute and leave a review for this course. I know you probably don't like to take the time to interrupt the flow of learning, but please, you will help me and other prospective students. With your honest review, you are helping me to come up with better courses that help thousands of students around the world. So again, even if you don't usually leave reviews, I will still ask you for this big favor and help me out. It really means a lot to me. Anyway, leaving a review or not, I still want you to keep learning a lot and really want you to be able to fulfill your goals. For that reason, we will learn how to prepare your characters for animation in the following lessons. See you there!